Carl, yeah, a lot of news from these CEOs this morning, hearing that they do anticipate that if needed, they could pivot very quickly to these new variant-specific vaccine constructs. We heard from Albert Bourla that they started that work on Friday, along with their partner BioNTech, developing that Omicron-specific vaccine if it's needed. Again, we don't know if it will be. The company's all saying they expect at least antibody data within a couple weeks to tell us how much of a hit the neutralization takes against Omicron versus previous variants. What we've seen before is that even with variants like Beta, which really did take a hit there in terms of the antibody protection, there was still protection from the vaccines. And so that may be the case that with full vaccination, with boosters, with the current vaccines, that is enough. J&J also this morning just putting out a statement saying it's developing an Omicron-specific vaccine too, if it's needed, but also looking at the current protection from its vaccine. This, guys, as over the weekend, we heard about a dozen more countries reporting cases of Omicron. So that's spreading. We have not yet heard about it here in the United States, but we know that surveillance systems are getting ramped up to look at this through both markers on PCR tests and also, of course, confirmed through genome sequencing. So experts would not be surprised to hear about cases here in the U.S. And in fact, Moderna's CEO Stefan Bancel saying that he thinks that any flights that have left from South Africa to any destination in the world within the last 7 to 10 days, those destinations probably have this variant circulating at some level. Now, guys, you just mentioned the antivirals. We did learn from Pfizer this morning that now they are forecasting 80 million treatment courses of Paxlovid being available next year that they can make. That's up from 50 million previously. And that was a really big point that Albert Bourla was making, that the potential availability of these antiviral drugs, being able to keep perhaps 9 out of 10 people out of the hospital or dying from COVID, makes a huge difference. Even if the vaccines take some hit, we could have those drugs that would be really helpful. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Meg, let me just quickly ask you. I don't think anyone in the business is good a watcher of Bancel from Moderna or Bourla from Pfizer. Did you not detect a level of both business as usual and optimism from these two? And again, I rely on you because you have dealt with them in the height of the pandemic, and I want to know whether that was your take.
There is a sense you get from both of these guys that they are ready for this, that they have been preparing for this, particularly from Bourla. When I asked him at the end of the interview, how concerned are you, personally about this? He said he was optimistic because they've run through this before with the Beta and the Delta variants, figuring out those vaccines, and because of the drugs that they have. Stefan Bancel also did sound pretty worried about this variant itself because of the characteristics we've heard about it that have not yet been confirmed. But that was something that he's been sort of acting from the beginning, back at Davos in 2020 when he was modeling on a napkin how far the original virus had potentially spread. So these guys, it's their personalities, but luckily they're prepared.
Meg, great work, of course, this morning, helping us get our arms around this today. That's our Meg Terrell. Gottlieb was also on this morning, said he thought we would probably get our arms around the epidemiology sometime this week.
Right.
So how are we supposed to trade in that time?
I think that there is a cadence. I think the cadence is we discover someone brought it here. After what happened in the Netherlands, it's hard to believe that we don't. Then you get a big sell-off. And then you're going to get news that this is something that we're going to be able to deal with. It's not going to be March of 2020. And when it's not, we're going to go look at. I'm not a huge fan of the cruise ships, but let's just take Royal or Norwegian. Norwegian hit a 52-week low. Royal's now down 20 from where they did that gigantic secondary. David, you have to say to yourself, you know what? Even you maybe bite the bullet and buy some Norwegian, which has. I don't think you're going to hear about massive cancellations.
You don't?
No, I don't.